Okay. A study sheet that helps you with this type, with a weighted mean scenario. Remember, that's this is on 39. Yeah, sorry, I'm just reviewing real quick. Weighted mean, it has two categories, two scenarios. One includes percentages. The other one is what we call repetition. Okay, that's the one I'm going to cover a little later. So we're going to focus on percentages for now. We did an example, and remember the steps, right? You multiply across first, write down those values. Second step would be add the products you just came up with. And then I actually skipped the most important step. Which step should I have done before I did anything? What should I have checked for? Because percentages, yeah, which one of them, does any of them add up to 100? If so, bingo, you're gonna have to divide by 100, okay? So that's my third and last step. Okay, hello. So I'll just tell you, right, like these three steps basically are standard even for the other one I'm gonna cover later on. So I want you to go over to page 40 right now, and I'm gonna give you some class time. I know yesterday I kind of just we ended with this and we kind of ran out of time. I will give you some class time to work on pages 40 to 41. I will post the answer key if I didn't do so already. I think it's up already. So if you finish this, if you're already done this, maybe just go back a little bit. There are some trimmed mean questions. There's some stuff that I mixed up. If you haven't done those already, that's what you work on while I give the rest of the class a little bit of time to finish 40 to 41, okay? So you need to try to get at least 2 done before I move on with my lesson so that you're kind of in the game, because this is going to be, weighted mean is going to be tomorrow on the quiz, okay? If you just joined late, if you came in, tomorrow's the quiz, but you knew that already. Okay, we're comparing on page 40 a non-weighted situation compared to a weighted situation. I don't think that any class you ever took had something like this where everything is worth the same. Most classes have different weights to it, and quite frankly, I like weights because it's not fair to, on an AC, right, expect you to ace it the first time, right? I shouldn't weigh it as heavy because if you make a mistake, you're still learning, right? So I'd rather the test be a little heavier because at that point we've had many chances to risk, right? So for this one, quite frankly, you just add them all up, right? 85, 72. I won't do them all, don't worry. And then just divide it by 4. So everything, it's almost like you go 85 times 1, 72 times 1, 65 times. They're all those same in terms of weight, right? So it's 312 over 4. So that's 78% overall. Okay. When you do it this way, some of you need to remember this could be your score, and you could have a weight like this. So your scores on the test were as follows, right? And then the weight, you have to be careful, 10% for the first one, the second and third weight 20% as well, and then the last one 50. Right? So you're almost like constructing your table. You check, both of them are percentages, by the way. Okay, they're both percentages, but it's this one that adds up to 100%, right? So you know, okay, and you might think it's a little trivial. You might think, I know it's 100. Like what's up with that, right? I can guarantee you, but before we're done this course, you're gonna get examples where the percentages do not add up to 100. So don't divide by 100 unless you can verify that one of them actually does add up to 100. Okay, so be warned. So weighted mean, you just multiply, right? Multiply, multiply, multiply. So that's 850. This one is 1440. This one is 1300, and then this last one is 4500, the 90 times 50, right? So you can tell that it being the heaviest and you scoring the highest on it will have the greatest impact on your final score. We're going to divide that by 100, and so that's 8090 divided by 100, and so we have 80.9% as the final mark in this case. Okay, so multiply, add, divide. Okay, 3 steps. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe the last one I'll just show you on page 41 here. First thing you should have noticed, oh, there are percentages here. I wonder if they add up to 100, and it does, right? Okay, and so once you've determined that, you should realize we're in a weighted mean situation, so you just multiply across like this. And I actually show that here. You do not have to show me this, but I would like to see on the right next to the table where you do multiply, okay? And then you have to be careful, don't rush to your final answer, but you end up with this number divided by 100, so it's $392 per customer. And again, this here, what do we call this? The unit analysis, right? You kind of trying to see what is my final answer, what units go there, and this is just to show you what happens, right? You're multiplying dollars and percentages every time at the beginning. That's what you're multiplying, and you're dividing by 100, which really is the 100% here. Right? It's gonna be. I hope this is gonna help you with the next the repetition example. This part right here. So now we know dollars is what goes there. Okay, so approximately $392 per customer. All right, we're gonna go to page 44 now. We're gonna leave weighted mean using percentages, and we're gonna go to we're gonna start talking about repetition. Okay, and so have highlighters ready again. Some of you are like, nope, not highlighting. That's okay. You do you, right? So involving repetition, multiple items, you can call it same thing. Okay. So I will tell you this, when it comes to repetition, the end result is the same as the arithmetic mean, but the calculation may be easier. That's why we choose to use a weighted mean scenario. Okay, so here it is. Please bear with me. It's going to be a little annoying at times the way I write it down, but just do it just to emphasize the point. Okay. The following values represent the number of shoes sold over an 18-day period. The data has been arranged, so I've arranged it for you. So this is the number of shoes that were sold, right? I want you to show 2 ways, right, of calculating the average number of shoes that have been sold. Okay. So we're going to do the traditional method first, method 1, right? Traditional. Let me zoom in a little bit. There. So you're going to have to bear with me. Page 44. Average is 3 plus 3 plus 3. There are 3 of them. I'm just going to do this a little bit here. These are my 4s, these are my 7s, and then these are my 9s. Keep them separate a little bit. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4s right here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's annoying, right? And then we're going to go 7 plus 7. And then there are 7 9s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I got them all. Yeah. This is how you do average, right? This is how we've been doing it before. And what am I going to divide it by? I'm actually curious. Is it 100? How many values we had, right? Because I've been like drilling the 100. So it's, yeah, how many do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay. I will show you the easier method. Kind of sounded scary. Okay. Uh, if we add this all up, anybody want to do this for me, or are you just going to trust me? If I go 3 plus 3 plus 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 sevens, and then 7 nines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 110. 110 divided by 18 is 6.11 shoes per day on average. That's painful. What if there would be 100 points that we're trying to add up? This would be very, very time consuming. So I'm going to do method 2. And I told you it's going to be annoying just to emphasize the point. Weighted mean. And I'll be nice to you. If the questions later on that I assign ask you to do it both ways, you may skip this way, like this one that I just did. You don't have to do it because I think you got it. If you want to do it, you go right ahead. Okay. Okay, weighted mean is going to be different. How many 3s do I have? 3. So I'm going to grab a highlighter here. Maybe I'll just use a red pen for this part. Any color pen will do, right? So we have 3 of them. We have 6 4s, 2 7s, and 7 9s. I just want a different color because I'm going to use that in what I'm about to do. So the number 3 showed up how many times? 3 times. Okay, put it in brackets. Plus the number 4 showed up 6 times. Plus the number 7 showed up 2 times. So much work. And the number 9 showed up 7 times. Does that look like weighted mean? Does that look a little bit more like weighted mean? I think so, right? It's starting to look like it. Then we're going to have to divide by, we still divided, because we're just shortening what we did up here. We're just making it shorter. We're not changing anything. We're still including how many numbers? 18, just like we did here. So I will just show it using my pen. I'm just going to say we essentially are adding up the number of instances, right? The number of times these numbers showed up. This is 9 plus 24 plus 14 plus 63 divided by, this down here is going to add up to 18. And then you guessed it, it's going to end up being 110 over 18, which is 6.11 shoes. That's a lot of work just to make a small little point, right? Maybe. I would agree with you. If you have a better idea, let me know. But this is the way to go, right? This is because imagine you had like 59s, let's say. Can you imagine 59s? I typed that in my calculator. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once you're in the 30s, you're like, wait a minute, was I at 32 or 33? You have to start all over again, right? It's way too annoying. So remember weighted mean now. Okay. I will just say this next to weighted mean. I'll just say faster. Right? That's weighted mean is much faster in this scenario. Okay, let's put it into action. Okay, you have the table to the left showing the average number of hours studied per week. Calculate the average number of hours studied per student, right? So you want the mean study time. The mean study time, and obviously that's going to be in hours, okay? That is actually very important. Let's highlight that. We want the mean study time in hours. You remember the 3 steps? What did we do first? Multiply. I'm doing it at the bottom because I'm going to need this for my work, okay? So try to go way at the bottom corner here. Multiply, add, and last but not least, divide. Okay, and then my colors. Colors would be multiplying. You do whatever you need to do. Adding and dividing last. So let's do the first two because those are easy. The first two should be fairly easy to do. Okay. So we're going to multiply like this. You always multiply across categories. In this case. 3 times 120, 260. 280 times 4, 1120. I'm not good at mental math. I'm just copying off my notes, by the way. 9 times 5, 450. Yeah. 3 times 6 is 18, so 30 times 66, sorry, is 180. And there you have your first step done. So the next step would be to add those. So I'm going to start like this, weighted mean. I'm going to go 360 plus 1120 plus 450 plus 180. And I will put a green, I highlight the addition part green because that's the second step. So now technically you've done 2 out of the 3 steps are done, but the last one is the most difficult in my opinion when it comes to this. What are you going to divide by? Are you going to add up all these ones and divide it by that, or are you going to add up all of these numbers and divide it by that answer? So that's the question here. That's when you just on the side, we do our unit. Anybody? Unit analysis. Unit lesson? Unit analysis. Okay. What I mean by that, think about what are the 2 things that we were multiplying the whole time. We were multiplying students by what's on the other column? Hours. So now the question is, what are we going to divide it by so that we can answer the question? What do we want to stay? The question is asking for mean studied hours, right? So you want hours to stay, you want students to go, right? Does that make sense? So we're going to divide by students. Yes, because in doing so, you're left with hours. Okay. So this tells me, right, the number of students, you got to go over here to your table and you're going to add up the number of students here. And that's what you're going to divide this whole thing by. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. This is 400, 490, 520. So that 520, I'm going to bring that over here. Okay, because ultimately I want that to stay. So let's just clean it up now. Weighted mean. If you add up the top, you get 2110 divided by 520. .06 hours on average. Does it make sense? Does my answer make sense? My answer, right, if you look at the hours that have been collected, it's between 3 and 6. So you shouldn't really be having a time that's less than 3 or more than 6 because these are the answers that you were provided with. So yes, it makes sense. Reasonable. It's within what my answers were. Let's just do an example here. You don't have to write this down, but let's say you added up this column here. So what's that? 3 and 4 is 7, and 5 is 12, and 6 is 18, right? So let's say you went 2110 divided by 18. Does it make sense to have an average study amount of 117 hours? Doesn't. So sometimes common sense tells you, oh, it's definitely not this one, because I can't have 117 hours because the maximum someone studied was 6 hours, right? So you kind of have to just sometimes just try one and or the other and see which one makes sense. I don't like that too much. I want you to know what you're doing, but sometimes questions kind of get tricky. Okay. So remember, these steps still stay. It's just that you need to be careful what you divide by, and that's where I suggest you use the unit analysis. Okay. One more thing. I was looking at old exams the other day, and the province gave a table like this, and they asked students what's the mode study time? The mode study time. So what's the mode in terms of study time? Which one would you say? Would it be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours? 4 hours? You're correct. Why? Because 280 students, right, said 4 hours. Think about it, like this here tells you how often these numbers are there. So if I were to make a list, I would have to make a list where there's 120 threes, like, right? 120 students kept on saying 3, 3, 3, 3. Right? And then 280 students kept on saying they studied 4 hours. Right? So this is your mode. I don't know if you want to just write it down. I'm just going to, right? The mode would be 4 hours. 280 students. Just a complete aside, but I thought, hey, it's a good time to do this. Okay. All right. I'm going to say 45 to 47 for you to try. It's going to be on tomorrow's quiz. So I'm going to write that down because I like you to write it down Even if you don't do all of it today, if you go back, you know which questions go with this particular lesson. Okay. And I think my plan is for you to work on this.